Alright everybody, welcome to another broadcast with DerkovRenault-Le. I'm going to be broadcasting another friend who is actually in the Silver League. He is going to be the red Protoss Zeratool up in the upper right, and in the bottom left is going to be his opponent of Ryan. Zeratool has recently actually joined the Silver League, and he has stated not only watching Day 9, but a few games that I've actually also helped him play as well. He has gotten quite a bit better. Pretty much what ends up happening during this game is it's still going to be the traditional opener, and I will be pausing the game periodically. And when I pause the game periodically, I will go ahead and explain good, bad, and go from there. As you can see, Zeratool actually threw down his pylon on 9, and Ryan has actually chosen to throw his pylon down on 10, which thus supply blocks him. Zeratool is currently using his chrono boost. He wasted maybe a second on that, but he is getting his probes out and his worker count up. The pylon placement's excellent, as you can see from Inadi's replay. This pylon placement's excellent because, as you can see, just the edge of it touches just the very edge of the ramp. The gateway is placed in a very great place, and after the gateway he is going to go ahead and he is going to scout. He does know his opponent is Protoss, so he knows he can go ahead and get a little bit later of a scout. And as Zeratool goes ahead and moves down towards his opponent's base, one thing that he didn't do is he didn't tag the Zelnaga watchtower. If you're going by, just go ahead and do a brief stop at the Zelnaga watchtower. Sometimes you can catch cheese here, or you can catch an SCV or a probe fleeting by, and you might be able to go ahead and prevent a proxy from here. As you can see, he does go ahead and he is in his opponent's base, and he's doing a little bit of scouting. He's going around. This is very dangerous going through the mineral line, but as you can see, Ryan pulls all of his probes off for just a minute, and he loses that mining time. And losing the mining time is huge. Now, I am going to go ahead and pause it for just one really quick second. As you just saw, Zeratool's probe took this little path this way, and then it came up into the top left-hand corner. If you do not see the probe leave your base, one great thing to do is to assume that he's going to do some type of proxy. He's going to drop a pylon, which you will go ahead and see here in just a second. Remember, if you watch the mini-map, you can just see just a little red dot go up over where your gateway is warping in, come down, and actually leave your base. Now, as you can see, Zeratool hides his probe up here, and he throws down a pylon. And then all of a sudden, his probe is leaving the base. So, whether or not, Ryan may have noticed that the probe might have dropped something off, or it was a little late leaving his base, it's really unknown. As you can see, Ryan's actually done a full wall off. And against Protoss versus Protoss, against maybe a 2-gate Zealot push, I can understand that, but the distance is really, really long, and I'm not too sure about that play. This pylon placement is okay, just because you are doing a Protoss versus Protoss game. Versus a Terran game, it's not going to be the best placement because the Marines can still swing around once they get up to the ramp and snipe that pylon off. I would typically go ahead and throw the second pylon where the probe is, just because if he did do a rush with some Zealots and he killed this pylon, it would actually unpower the gateway, cybernetics core, and everything else. Zeratool is going ahead and he is getting a second gateway down with a forge, and with this he's fairly comfortable in his position, knowing that his opponent has walled in. Because when he came by, he did see the probe go ahead and drop by, and if you take a look at his vision, even though that he doesn't see it, he did see that probe it come by and go ahead like it was going to drop another building. And he also still has this pylon that's here, and if you take a look at Ryan's vision, Ryan has no idea that it's there. One thing to go ahead and do before you do expand, since you do only have one single Zealot, it's good to go ahead and try and get a scout off. Send a probe, see if, they're massing up troops, just poke in the front door. If it dies, you know what he has. And you may know not to go ahead and throw down this Nexus. This is a fairly early Nexus, but it will pay for itself. As you can see, the Harvester count is pretty even. And since the Harvester count is pretty even, and the Chrono Boost, it's a little high, but I can understand. Both of these gas geysers have been up for a little bit, and he has not saturated the geysers. Depending on the type of play, the type of build, you may want to go ahead and saturate the geysers a lot quicker, and Also, double check, because it's easy to check to see if you have enough guys and gas. It does take 3, and as you can see, there's only 2 here, and he just put the 3rd one here, and then there's only 2 here. He is still spending the chrono boost, and since he did get the gas geysers a little late, and he only has 2 probes in this bottom geyser here, that is going to go ahead and hurt him a little bit. Having a pylon here is excellent because it does provide not only a scout, but kind of an early warning to see if your opponent has something back here, if he's trying to warp in units, and it gives you sight beyond this brush here. As you can see, Ryan has not scouted out the red pylon yet. The red pylon's still there, and since the warp gates are just finishing a little late, maybe going ahead and trying to put on a little bit of early pressure a little bit sooner might have been a little bit more beneficial. But the pylon is there, and he can use it at any time to warp in Dark Templar. He can warp in a couple Centuries. There's just a lot that you can go ahead and that you can do with a pylon in the back of your opponent's base. He is placing a cannon at the front of his base. It's not really the best placement for the cannon because things that are on the ramp can still go ahead and annihilate the gateway, and they'll be able to pick the pylon off before the cannon, before the cannon can actually go ahead and shoot it. Now, placing the second pylon here is a really great idea, so you still can keep power to all of your gateways. Zeratool is doing a great job keeping his chrono boost low, and he does actually have both Nexi highlighted in a single control group. And he still has a probe that's at the Xel'Naga Watchtower. Controlling the Xel'Naga Watchtower does give you a valuable resource of map control. He would actually be able to go ahead and see if this army was moving out. Now, as you can see, Ryan has a Templar Archives and a Twilight Council. And if you go ahead and go to Zeratool's vision, all he sees here is a pylon. That's all he sees. And Ryan should now actually see his pylon as well, Zeratool's. But he hasn't checked anything at the front ramp. Poking up there, sending a 50 mineral probe, and getting scouting information, that's always well worthwhile. One thing that you can also go ahead and do is, since you have a small stalker force, if you have a small stalker force and they haven't killed anything here in the back, wait until the stalkers actually attack the front to divide his attention and run the zealots to the back. By doing that, you can cause quite a bit of confusion, quite a bit of damage. The Archon itself, it was actually a really great idea. Maybe not right now, but it was able to go ahead and fend that off fairly easily. But the pylon did provide enough of a distraction for Zeratool to come in and take out this front pylon, get a little bit of a scout off. I don't necessarily recommend trying to focus down structures. Right here is actually a really bad position to be in. Your units can't get into the base, even though that he did snipe off 2 pylons. He lost 3 stalkers. Not necessarily the best use of minerals. I would have preferred it the other way if the stalkers had come in at the front, and then he warped in the zealots in the back in order to go ahead and start assaulting the mineral line. But as you can see, Zeratool has done an excellent job. He has map control. He's eliminated one avenue of attack, and the other avenue of attack here, he still has a pylon and a zealot. He's got plenty of coverage if he wants to throw down a few extra cannons, and he has actually gone ahead and put down a good couple of forward pylons. This might be a few too many pylons because they are exposed. If Ryan was to go ahead and push out, he'd be able to snipe both of these pylons off pretty quickly, and that's 200 minerals lost. The pylon back here is still actually going to provide, again, very good information in case in case Ryan wanted to go ahead and warp units towards the back and run them in the back around the edge, which you can do. Zeratool is going to go ahead and throw down another pylon. Again, map control is very, very expensive. However, if you can maintain it, you know what's going on, and maybe the loss of the 100 minerals will help prevent a drop that happens, or it'll help prevent